On March 16, 2025, the USS Harry S. Truman, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, found itself the target of a coordinated drone attack. The attack, attributed to the Houthi militia in Yemen, unfolded in the Red Sea, a critical waterway for global trade. 11 drones, armed and remotely piloted, closed in on the massive warship. This brazen assault marked a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between the United States and the Iran-backed Houthi movement. The U.S. Navy, however, was prepared. As the drones approached, American warplanes scrambled to intercept. In a display of overwhelming air power, all 11 drones were swiftly neutralized before they could inflict any damage on the carrier. Simultaneously, a Houthi missile, believed to be a ballistic projectile, splashed down harmlessly off the coast of Yemen. While the attack was ultimately unsuccessful, it served as a stark reminder of the growing reach and sophistication of the Houthi militia. This incident was not an isolated event. It occurred within a larger context of escalating tensions and military actions in the region. Understanding the events leading up to this attack is essential to grasping the gravity of the situation and its potential implications for future conflict in the Middle East. The attack on the USS Harry S. Truman was a calculated act of aggression, intended to send a clear message to the United States and its allies. The Houthi drone attack on the USS Harry S. Truman did not occur in a vacuum. It came on the heels of a series of U.S. airstrikes in Yemen, targeting Houthi leadership and military infrastructure. These strikes were a response to a recent surge in Houthi attacks on international shipping lanes in the Red Sea, a vital artery for global trade. The U.S., along with its allies, has been increasingly concerned about the Houthis' growing military capabilities and their blatant disregard for international law. The U.S. airstrikes, while strategically significant, were not without casualties. The Houthi-run health ministry reported a grim toll with 53 deaths, including innocent women and children, and 98 injuries. This tragic loss of life underscores the human cost of the conflict and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. However, the Houthis, emboldened by their perceived success and fueled by their ideological convictions, remained undeterred. In the aftermath of the U.S. airstrikes, Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi issued a chilling warning, vowing to retaliate against any further U.S. military action. He specifically threatened to target U.S. ships in the Red Sea, raising the stakes of the conflict and setting the stage for a dangerous cycle of violence. This threat, far from being empty rhetoric, was backed by a demonstrated capability to strike at high-value targets, as evidenced by the drone attack on the USS Harry S. Truman. The recent attack on the USS Harry S. Truman is but one episode in a long and troubling history of Houthi aggression in the Red Sea. Since November 2023, the Houthis have launched a relentless campaign of attacks against both military and civilian vessels traversing this vital waterway. Their targets have included U.S. warships, which have been attacked a staggering 174 times, and commercial vessels, which have been struck 145 times. These attacks, often carried out with sophisticated weaponry supplied by Iran, have had a devastating impact on global commerce, disrupting supply chains and driving up the cost of goods. The Houthis' blatant disregard for international maritime law and their willingness to target civilian vessels have drawn widespread condemnation from the international community. Despite this, the attacks have continued unabated, highlighting the challenges in curbing Houthi aggression. The Houthis, for their part, justify their actions as a legitimate response to what they perceive as a blockade imposed on Yemen by the U.S. and its allies. They argue that the blockade is preventing the flow of humanitarian aid into the country, exacerbating the already dire humanitarian crisis. However, this claim has been disputed by the U.S. and other Western powers, who maintain that they are committed to facilitating the delivery of humanitarian assistance to those in need in Yemen. The Houthi drone attack on the USS Harry S. Truman and the subsequent U.S. response have brought the complex web of international relations in the Middle East into sharp focus. The incident has further strained relations between the U.S. and Iran, which Washington accuses of arming and supporting the Houthis. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on Iran over its nuclear program and other activities, and the two countries have been engaged in a war of words, raising fears of a wider conflict. The international community has responded to the escalating tensions with a mixture of condemnation and calls for restraint. Russia, a close ally of Iran, has urged the U.S. to cease its airstrikes in Yemen and pursue dialogue with the Houthis. The UN Secretary General has called for all parties to exercise restraint and seek a peaceful resolution to the conflict. These calls for de-escalation, however, have been met with defiance by both the US and the Houthis. The attack on the USS Harry S. Truman has also underscored the precarious security situation in the Middle East, where multiple conflicts and proxy wars are playing out simultaneously. The incident serves as a stark reminder of the volatility of the region and the potential for miscalculation that could ignite a wider conflagration. As the US and Iran continue their dangerous dance in the region, the world watches with bated breath, hoping that cooler heads will prevail.